We are here, folks. It's back. Doesn't it feel good to hear that song? Doesn't it feel so freaking good, folks? Round Ball Rock by John Tesh is officially back. The NBA is officially back on NBC, folks. And man, oh man, it's so good to see that basketball season starts tomorrow night. I mean, let's go, man. Woo! What a night it's going to be tomorrow. What a time it is here in the year. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to the Midnight Express. And to get us started, we are going to play the classic intro here tonight. We are back, baby. The NBA is officially back, ladies and gentlemen. That's right. Basketball is back, folks. What's going on, everybody? Welcome in to a very special edition of the Midnight Express. This is our 2025-2026 NBA preview edition, and we're going to get into everything regarding the 2025-2026 season. It's going to be a lot of fun to watch this upcoming season unfold, starting tomorrow with Round Ball Rock. That's right, by John Tesh, officially back. The NBA on NBC officially coming. And let's play that music again. Let's play that music. Yeah, baby. So, the NBA on NBC officially comes back. You got Inside the NBA making the move from TNT to ESPN. But yeah, it's going to be a great year, folks. If you guys have any questions, any comments, you guys want to shout out your predictions to me, go ahead and flood that in the comment section. I will read that live on the air for you guys. But yeah, sit back and enjoy because we got basketball back starting tomorrow night, and your boy's ready. Drilled it. All right, so let's get into our show tonight, our NBA preview show. We're gonna get into team previews, and then we're gonna get into our NBA playoff teams, and then I'll give you my NBA Finals prediction, and then we might get into some awards before we call it a night. So we got a lot of stuff to get into. Sit back, relax. It's gonna be a lot of fun to watch here tonight. All right, let's talk about the Lakers. So the Lakers this offseason made a lot of acquisitions. We know about the acquisition of Luka Doncic that happened in February that stunned not only the entire basketball world, but it stunned the entire sports world. Well, the Lakers also, after falling short in the playoffs, they lose in the first round in 5 games in the Minnesota Timberwolves. Los Angeles Lakers went out and got bigger and better. They got DeAndre Ayton, who was bought out by the Portland Trailblazers to address their center need. They brought back Jackson Hayes. They signed some really good, smart 3-and-D wings like Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart as well. So the Lakers got better on the wings in the perimeter when it comes to defense and when it comes to shooting. And also I felt like they addressed the center deficiency that they had, which was severely lacking against Minnesota last year. Look, DeAndre Ayton, is he the most powerful big man in the NBA? No, he isn't. But he's a guy that's really good offensively, and he's a guy that's a lob threat, which will help with him and Luka, and also when LeBron comes back. And also, DeAndre Ayton is a guy that I feel like, his defense is very, very underrated. I think he's a guy that, can defend the basket at a high level, and that gets overlooked at a lot of times. He's a guy that's a tremendous rebounder. That's what the Lakers need, a guy that can grab the rebounds, a guy that can rotate or defend the rim. So I like the acquisition of DeAndre Ayton. I've always been a big fan of DeAndre Ayton ever since his days at the University of Arizona with Sean Miller and those guys. But I really like that move for the Lakers. I think that JJ Redick in his second year will be able to, utilize DeAndre Ayton a lot better than a lot of the coaches that he had in the past. But now you look at the Lakers, right? You got your starting lineup. LeBron's going to miss the first 3 to 4 weeks of the season, probably a month. So LeBron's going to miss the first month of the season. So if you look at the starting lineup for the Lakers, right, it's going to be Luka. It's going to be Austin Reeves as shooting guard, which I really think Reeves is better off, to be honest, as like a bench player, because I think that he's a great 6-man. Like, I feel like you give the ball to Austin Reeves, you let him run the show, and he's really good at distributing the basketball and putting everybody in rhythm to be able to make shots. But he's going to be the shooting guard. LeBron is going to be the small forward when he comes back. But right now, I think JJ is going to go with the matchups of Vincent. I personally want Connect to start. I think that, Dalton's a guy that gives you more shooting abilities as a small forward or as a shooting guard. I think he's better off for that. With him being in rhythm, being able to catch the ball, I think that, you'll be able to be better with that instead of just being on the bench and stuck in the corner. Power forward Rui Hachimura, and then the center will be DeAndre Ayton. And then, in LeBron's absence, I think you can run any sort of combinations of guys like Dalton Connect, Gabe Vincent, Jake LaRavia, Marcus Smart, whatever, you can make. Then I think that, I really believe that that's what the Lakers could do. All right, how do I see this team finishing, right? The Lakers start off with Golden State coming up this on Tuesday tomorrow. I think that, look, that's going to be a fun game. The Lakers and Warriors always play really fun games. I think the season for the Lakers really depends on a couple of things. LeBron's got to take a step back. Let Luka run the show, because this is Luka Doncic's franchise now, right? And I really believe, look, the Lakers got to get off to a fast start, because if they get off to a slow start, you're going to hear the noise about LeBron's future. You're going to hear the noise about, oh, JJ, is he under pressure? I know he signed an extension, but you can still get rid of coaches really fast. You're going to hear that noise. So you got to get off to a fast start if you're the Lakers. I think that it's very pivotal
for, a guy like Austin Reeves to get off to a fast start, because we know Reeves struggled last year in the beginning of the season, but he's got to get off to a fast start, show that he can play with Luka. And I think it's also very vital for guys like Jake LaRavia, guys like Dalton Connect to get off to a fast start. Those guys were disposed to the bench, especially in Connect's case, he was disposed to the bench. And, he needs to show that, hey, I'm an NBA player and I can contribute at this level. And I think he could be, but he needs to earn that trust of JJ Redick. And then you talk about what they've done. Rui Hachimura, I think, could be a big piece. He's definitely got to fill some of that scoring void with LeBron being out. I think Jake LaRavia, I really like that move. He's a very savvy shooter. He's a guy that has a lot of really good offensive game, but he's really good on defense as well. So I think it will really help. Marcus Smart is a guy that's great defensively. His shot is very hit or miss. So I'm going to be interested to see how teams defend against him, because we all know, let's face it, that Marcus Smart is a guy that you're not going to be reliant on to make up 5 threes a game. No, he's a guy that you're reliant on his defense. Same with Gabe Vincent. I feel like those guys are the same players where you can't trust them to shoot the ball, but you can trust them to be really dynamic on defense. So, Lakers got to get off to a fast start. I think that, if I have to make some predictions, I think that you look at the most important player for the Lakers. To be honest, it ain't going to be Luka Doncic. The most important player for the Lakers this season, I really feel like it's going to be Rui Hachimura, because you need to have, especially with LeBron out, you need to have that other guy shoulder the load. And Rui Hachimura is going to be doing what LeBron is doing, catching the ball, in the paint, catching the ball and then doing the fadeaways and stuff like that. He's got to shoulder the load as LeBron misses time, but also, he's got to be that other key contributor and knock down those open shots when LeBron does in fact come back. So he needs to be the most important player for the Lakers this season. What's going on, James? How's it going? James says that I guarantee that this season is going to be really low rated for people watching. What? I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, I think that for James, I disagree with that. I really believe that, this season I think will be better watch, because I just feel like now the games are on local TV or on national TV. A lot of people don't have to pay those ridiculous prices to get cable to be able to watch games, which I think will really, really help. So, I like it. I think that having national TV games almost 5 days out of 7 days, I think will really, really help the exposure of the league. So I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. James, if you want to hop on, feel free, my friend. I'm gonna put the link in the comments section, so you can go ahead and jump on, my friend. I want you to come on for the Clippers part, but back to the Lakers. Rui Hachimura is a big part. Austin Reeves, look, I want to see him keep ascending and ascending and ascending. He's doing a lot of great things for the Los Angeles Lakers. Luka, obviously, this is his franchise now. He's got to show out. Dalton Connect, it's very imperative for him to get off to a good start so that he doesn't be buried more in the bench. And then, I look at Jackson Hayes, right, the backup center. I think he's going to be very important for the Lakers squad, because I really believe that with Jackson Hayes, that he's going to have a big role, because DeAndre Ayton, we know his deficiencies, but that backup center role, especially with Ayton, he gets into foul trouble a lot. So you're going to have a capable center to be able to replace that type of production that you're going to get from DeAndre Ayton. So, look, for the Lakers, I think I'm going to go with a record of 51-31. I think that Luka always does great things in the regular season. I think Reeves takes another step. Well, I really believe that the Dalton Connect breakout year is coming this year. And I really believe that you're going to see a brand new DeAndre Ayton for the Los Angeles Lakers. So I'm going to go 51-31. I think they challenge for a top 2 seed in the West. But I think they ultimately finish what they were last year and get the number 3 seed in the Western Conference. So So that's my report on the Lakers. I got them at 51-31. I think it's going to be a great year. I think they're going to get off to a good start. I think there is going to be a little bit of turbulence, but then they're going to cruise at the end. James says that all you need to know about the Clippers is that they are older now and made questionable trades to get bigger, but not score as much. Lawrence Frank can be questioned for his moves. I like the moves the Clippers made. I mean, you got John Collins, who is a very underrated power forward. I think the Clippers, they also got Bradley Beal, who will help with the bench. Chris Paul will be the mentor. He will help with the bench as well. But I really believe that for the Clippers, I really like that move with John Collins. Like, he's very underrated. He showed what he could do with Atlanta. I felt like Utah did not really, let him be who he should have been. So I think that he's going to show out in LA for the Clippers. Big year for Ty Lue, though, because if they have another year where they flame out early in the playoffs, like the first round, I could see him being let go this year just because, you have this talented team. You don't have any more excuses if you're the Clippers. You got Kawhi, you got Harden, you got Beal, you got all those pieces now. Like you're going all in. So if you lose in the first round again, there's going to be major changes there in Los Angeles. Let's get into our predictions for the West and the Eastern Conference. I'm going to give you my 1 through 8 as well as my play-in teams. Oh yeah, that's right, James. They also got Brook Lopez as well. Backup center, I think that's also a good move too. But I feel like him and Collins kind of play the same way, in which Collins is a guy that likes to spot up, also likes to bang in the post. But also, I feel like with that move, it's kind of counter imperative in a way. So I do agree with you on that. I don't know why. And Lou was signed to an extension. But I mean, if you flame out in the first round again, I don't know I don't know. I think Ballmer is going to make some significant changes because I really believe that you're going all in. You got the pieces. You got Lopez. You got Beal. You got Lopez. You got Beal. You got all these guys. Like, you're going all in. So if you lose in the first round again, what's the excuse now going to be? All right, let's get into our Western Conference and Eastern Conference standings, playoff teams. All right, let's get into the West. Or let's start in the East first, because I think the East, like you mentioned, James, there's going to be a lot of stars that are not going to be playing this year, so it's going to be very watered down in the Eastern Conference. Jason Tatum suffered a torn Achilles in the playoffs. He's going to be out. The New York Knicks, they are bringing back the entire squad minus head coach Tom Thibodeau. Tom Thibodeau is no longer the head coach of the Knicks, so it's going to be Mike Brown now who takes over in the Big Apple. Tyrese Halliburton unfortunately tore his Achilles in the playoffs in the finals in Game 7, which was absolutely brutal and severe and just awful. My heart breaks for him. He is going to most likely miss the entire year. There are rumors that Tatum could come back maybe in April. He's very far along right now in his rehab, so who knows? We'll see what happens with that. I know the Celtics also traded away Porzingis. They traded away Drew Holiday. They lost Al Horford, so Boston made a flurry of moves this offseason. Orlando gets Desmond Bane from the Grizzlies, a trade that I think a lot of people forget that happened. That was a big blockbuster at the beginning of the NBA offseason. I think that was a really big move for them. Orlando's going to be a team that to watch out for to take the next step. Cleveland they got Lonzo Ball. I think that was their biggest move this offseason. To help the Cavs out there. I'm looking at some of these other teams. The Heat didn't really do much this offseason. They were in a lot of rumors, but they didn't really do much. The 76ers, who I expect to have a bounce back year, I don't really think they did much as well. The Milwaukee Bucks pulled off one of the biggest coups this offseason. They got Miles Turner from Indiana in a very stunning surprise. They also waived Damian Lillard. The Detroit Pistons. I don't believe they did anything this offseason. I think they're running it back. They were a really big surprise. And then you look at some of these other teams. Atlanta and Trae Young failed to reach an extension, so he's most likely headed for free agency. The Charlotte Hornets got drafted Con Knippel from Duke, who was a high impact player for them. So he's going to be very fun to watch. So let's get to the standings and let's get to my projections. All right. Okay. I really want you guys to make your guys' projections. How do you guys think the East is going to finish in the regular season, 1-8, and then you guys can give me your number 9-12, the play-in teams as well. All right, so let's get into the East. For me, my 1-8 looks like this for the Eastern Conference. And a lot of you guys might call me crazy, but what we know in the East is going to be kind of weak this year, right? There's going to be teams out there that you're like, yeah, they're probably going to take a step back because they lost their player to injury or player is not going to play. So for me, my top team in the Eastern Conference this year is going to be the Orlando Magic. I think the Magic will get the number 1 seed this year. I like what they're doing. Paolo Banchero is an absolute stud. Franz Wagner. I mean, this guy, he is a lights out shooter. They got Desmond Bane, who's going to provide toughness and also scoring as well. I like what the Magic did. I think the Magic's going to shock a lot of people, and I really believe Orlando, with the moves that they've made, the Stars taking that next step, I think Orlando, with the watered down Eastern Conference, is going to get that number 1 seed. Number 2 for me, the 2nd seed in the East. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go with the New York Knicks. I think that for the Knicks, it's going to take some time for them to piece it together with Mike Brown running the show there. They're going to be a more offensive team there in New York. Remember, Mike Brown in Sacramento, those teams weren't really known for defense. So it's going to be interesting to see how that carries over from the Tom Thibodeau era. You got Jalen Brunson there. I know Brown is trying to make Jalen Brunson more to play more off the ball, which makes a lot of sense. They did get Jordan Clarkson to help with the bench there in New York, but I think it's going to take some time for it to work there in New York, but I think the Knicks will be fine, but it'll take a little bit of time. So I got them as my number 2 seed. Number 3, I'm going to go Cleveland. Donovan Mitchell is a stud. Darius Garland is an absolute monster for the Cavs. They just need to stay healthy. And for them, it's about the playoffs. Like, they don't care about we know that they're going to be great in the regular season, but the biggest thing is, can they do it and repeat it in the playoffs and stay healthy? I think the Cavs go number 3. Number 4. Wow, this is going to be tough. Number 4 in the Eastern Conference, I'm going to go with the Milwaukee Bucks. I like what they did. Adding Miles Turner really helps them. Giannis, there's going to be those rumors all season long. Is he committed? Is he not committed? Does he want to be traded? They did give him Miles Turner to have the Hail Mary. We want to, try to save the Giannis era in Milwaukee. I'm going to go with them with number 4. The 5th seed for me is going to be, this is tough because this is going to be a very watered down East. I think the Pacers, honestly, without Halliburton, it's going to be tough. Give me Detroit. I'm going to go with the Pistons at number 5. Kate Cunningham takes another step, but I do believe that the Pistons are going to be battling it out for a top 5 seed in the East. Number 6 for me in the Eastern Conference. I'm going to go with the 76ers. They have to have a bounce back year. Paul George, you got Joel Embiid, you got Tyrese Maxey. They've got talent on that team. They got to put it together or else heads are going to roll there in Philadelphia. I don't trust Embiid to stay healthy, obviously. Maxey has had his share of injuries. George is now having his share of injuries. But I still think they're too talented not to be a top 6 seed in the Eastern Conference. So I got them at number 6. And then 7 and 8, I think we're going to go with number 7 being the Boston Celtics. Without Tatum, it's going to be tough. I don't really trust Brown to be able to really carry the Celtics. They also lost a lot with Kristaps Porzingis, being traded to Atlanta. They also lost Drew Holiday. I think that's going to be a really underrated big blow for them. So I'm going to go with them at number 7. And then number 8, last but not least, believe it or not, guys, I'm going to go with the Charlotte Hornets. I think that this is a team that's going to surprise people, especially in the watered down Eastern Conference. LaMelo Ball, I think he stays healthy for the first time. I like the addition of Con Knippel. They did trade away Mark Williams. He's now in Phoenix, but I like the young talent there. They just got to stay healthy. Brandon Miller's got to stay healthy. When he was healthy, he was balling. LaMelo Ball was balling, but when he's healthy, that's when he was balling. Con Knippel, I think, will be a great fit there in Charlotte. I like what Charles Lee brings there to Charlotte. So I'm going to go with the Hornets being number 8. And then my play-in team. So, yes, I have LaMelo Ball and the Charlotte Hornets, and I think LaMelo's going to have a really good year. But I think LaMelo Ball and the Hornets are going to finish 8th and make the playoffs and shock the world there. And then my play-in teams, 9, 10, 11, and 12. This is a very big crapshoot right here. I'm going to go with the Pacers at number 9. I don't think they make the playoffs. I think the loss of Halliburton will be too much. Plus, I think they will be hung over from the finals last year. And the loss of Miles Turner as well. That's a big blow for them. So I got them at number 9. Number 10, I'm going to go with the Atlanta Hawks. I like them adding Kristaps Porzingis. I still think that's too little for them. So I'm going to go with them at 10. I think Trae Young's going to request a trade this season. So be on the lookout for that, guys. Number 11 on my list, going to go with the Chicago Bulls. It just seems like they always happen to make the play-in tournament under Billy Donovan. So I think that even though they lost Lonzo Ball, they lost Zach LaVine, they don't have DeMar DeRozan, but they have Kobe White, who's a really good young player. They're going to trade away. They need to find a way to trade away Nikola Vucevic this offseason because that contract is just absolutely unbearable for them. But with those pieces that they still have, they're going to find a way to make the play-in. They're not going to get into the playoffs, but they're going to find a way to probably lose the first play-in game. And then last but not least, I'm going to go with for my number 12 seed, I'm going to go with the Miami Heat. You got Tyler Hero, who's not going to play the first couple months of the season. Bam Adebayo, they still got a lot of talent. I think they're going to make the 12th seed. They're going to make the play-in, but they're not going to make the playoffs, sadly. So those are my predictions for the Eastern Conference. I got Magic at number 1, Knicks at number 2, Cavs number 3, Bucks number 4, Pistons number 5, Sixers at number 6, Celtics at number 7, and the Hornets at number 8. And then those are my playoff teams with the Pacers, the Hawks, the Bulls, and the Heat rounding it out in the Eastern Conference. James, before we go to the West, James says that the Heat won't even make the playoffs. I agree. I think they're going to be like a play-in team, but that's about it. James also says that it was a lame move for New York to settle for Mike Brown. I agree. They should have went out and got like a Dan Hurley or someone like that, a big name coach, because you just made the Eastern Conference Finals. Like what? Like you have the team ready to win now. Like how many coaches would die to coach the New York Knicks there with that team? So I think it was just a mistake there. Clarkson was a good move for New York. I agree. They needed some bench scoring opposite of that was one of their issues. They didn't really have scoring off the bench last season, I think, which really hurt them in the Eastern Conference Finals. So I think that's a great move for them. And then he said Orlando will be the 3rd seed. We'll see what happens, but I think the young talent takes another step up. And then I think that Desmond Bane sign or that trade, I think really is going to help Orlando because it gives them toughness, it gives them defense, it gives also another option to score the basketball as well. All right. Let's get into the Western Conference, and then we'll get into NBA Finals prediction, maybe some awards, and then we'll call it a night. It's gonna be a quick show because this was kind of like an impromptu thing because the NBA does begin tomorrow. Let me know, guys, about what you guys think about the NBA on inside the NBA on ESPN now, how that schedule is going to look like. It's going to be different era for basketball fans. No more NBA on TNT. We got Inside the NBA on ESPN now starting on October 22nd. We got the NBA back on NBC. we got this bad boy back now. Yeah, that's right. The NBA on NBC is back, Round Ball Rock, and they got a great quartet of guys that are gonna be announcing games and on the pre and post game show. So looking forward to seeing how that turns out. Let's get into the Western Conference, guys. This is gonna be a loaded conference. You got Luka and the Lakers with LeBron. LeBron, I know, is going to miss the first month, but still, Luka, LeBron, that's going to be epic. Devin Booker is now the solo man in Phoenix. No more Kevin Durant. No more Bradley Beal there. The Phoenix Suns traded him to the Houston Rockets. The Clippers added Bradley Beal. They added Brook Lopez. They added John Collins. They added a bunch of players as well to that team. The Golden State Warriors, they added Al Horford. They also are going to add Seth Curry in November, which I think is going to be a really good move for them. The Utah Jazz, there's a lot of rumors they haven't reached an extension with Lauri Markkanen or Walker Kessler. So those two guys might be on the trade block this offseason or this season, especially Walker Kessler, who will be entering restricted free agency. The Denver Nuggets, look, they made a lot of moves. They got Jonas Valanciunas from someone correct me. I don't remember off the top of my head where Valanciunas went to Denver from, but I know they got him. They also got Bruce Brown back as well. They also traded Michael Porter Jr. To the Brooklyn Nets. So, and now he's talking a whole bunch of stuff. So, we'll see how that works out. But I think the Nuggets, I'm trying to remember to all the people that are watching, who did the Denver Nuggets get in that Porter Jr. trade? I remember they made the trade as a big time deal, but I'm trying to, they got Cam Johnson. That's right. So they got Valanciunas, Cam Johnson, as well as Bruce Brown. So Denver's loading up. After firing Michael Malone. The Trailblazers, they got Drew Holiday, which is a very sneaky move, which will help their defense and their playmaking. They also got Damian Lillard back, but he's not going to be in the lineup anytime soon. And of course, the defending champions, Oklahoma City Thunder, they brought back the entire core after winning the title last season. Just a great job by Oklahoma City. Minnesota, not really a lot of moves there for the Timberwolves. I mean, I know they lost one of their key pieces to the Atlanta Hawks. The Timberwolves, they are a team that's built around Anthony Edwards, obviously Rudy Gobert. No Karl Anthony Towns, though. He's now in New York, but they have Julius Randle. They still got Dante DiVincenzo there in Minnesota, so it should be an outstanding season for them. The Rockets. Kevin Durant is now a Houston Rocket. Jalen Green and also Brooks is no longer Dylan Brooks is no longer there in Houston. So Houston's going to try to win it now. They made the playoffs last year, lost in the first round. They think that they can take the next step. We'll see what happens. The Pelicans, look, Zion, that's going to be a big saga to watch all season long. They missed the playoffs last year. They fired David Griffin. They replaced him with, I'm forgetting his name now. King. I think that's his name. King from the Pistons. Former Pistons executive is now the new president of basketball operations for the New Orleans Pelicans. It's a new era there in New Orleans. Memphis, they got John Morant back. They lost Desmond Bane. That's a team that I'm kind of confused with their direction. The Mavericks. Well, they made the Luka trade. Well, guess what? They made the Luka trade. They got rewarded for trading Luka. They got Cooper Flagg, who they've been trying out at point guard this season. Kyrie's going to come back later on in the year. They got Anthony Davis, who's healthy now. They're going to be a fun team to watch. They also got D'Angelo Russell to mitigate the absence of Kyrie Irving, and the San Antonio Spurs. James, was it Billy King? I don't know if it was the Pistons executive. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head what his name was, but we'll get back to you. We'll get it to you once the producers give me the name of the new Pelicans president of basketball operations. All right, let's get into it, guys. The rankings for these for the teams here. The rankings for the team. Oh, not King. Joe Dumars. Joe Dumars. That's right. Is now the new man in charge of basketball ops there in New Orleans. So that's what's going on there in New Orleans. So let's get into the Western Conference predictions here tonight. All right. So for me, my 1 through 9, my 1 through 8, I want to hear your guys's 1 through 8, and then you guys can also give me your play-in teams as well. All right, let's start with number 1. The number 1 team, ladies and gentlemen, in the Western Conference this year, I don't believe it's going to be the Oklahoma City Thunder, because I think that the Thunder are going to kind of go on cruise control in the regular season and not really care about it until the postseason. So for me, the number 1 team in the Western Conference, in my opinion, is going to be the Los Angeles Clippers. I got the Clippers being number 1 in the West. I think that they're going to go all out. They've got the talent now. They're going all in for that. So I'm going to go with them as number 1. Number 2, I'm going to go with the Thunder there. I think the Thunder with that young core, look, they're not going to completely like go on cruise control. I think that they're not going to try really that hard this regular season. But I think that they're going to be number 2. The Lakers, in my opinion, will be number 3. I think that with Luka, LeBron, that's a deadly combo. Now you add size with Ayton. You add the wings and Jake LaRavia and Marcus Smart. I think Dalton Knecht has a bounce back season. So I really believe that the Lakers will be that third seed in the Western Conference. All right. Number 4, I'm going to go with the Rockets. Look, they were really good last season. They ran into the Warriors, ran into that buzzsaw late in the season. But look, they add KD. You got Fred VanVleet. I think he's going to miss the whole year because of an injury. But you got KD there, who's a proven scorer, especially in the postseason. You got Alperen Sengun, who's going to be really solid for them. Getting his points in the paint, the pick and pop, all that good stuff. So I think the Rockets are going to be number 4. Number 5 on this list. This West is tough, dude. I'm gonna go with the Denver Nuggets. I like what Denver did. Nikola Jokic, you got Jamal Murray there, obviously, but trading away Michael Porter Jr., I think really helps because you add more depth to your team with Christian Braun, or with not Christian Braun, Cam Johnson. You've got, Jonas Valanciunas. You're not going to take a step back when Jokic sits. I really like the move of Bruce Brown there. I think that Christian Braun's got to take that next step, though, because he is going to be their starting shooting guard, I believe. He's got to take more of the loads, but I got Denver at 5. And man, that Rockets Nuggets first round battle will be absolutely nasty if that happens. Number 6, I'm going with Golden State. I really like the move of Al Horford. Al Horford is the quintessential warrior. He fits the Steve Kerr ball movement type of offense, stretch 5. They haven't really had that. They haven't really had that legit big man in forever. Now you don't have Draymond playing the 5. He can play more of the 4, which is, I feel like, his natural position. You got Steph Curry there. Then you got Jimmy Butler, another year with Steph and Jimmy. I think that's going to be fun for Golden State. The acquisition I really do like the most, to be honest, is, and I know James says he got cut, but it was just for procedural reasons, James, that Seth Curry got cut. But he's going to be back on the Warriors come, I think, November 15, when they're eligible, or when he's eligible to take the veteran minimum without that going into without them getting into the second apron. So I like that move a lot because Seth Curry is a tremendous shooter without the ball. He's a guy that I think, with the ball movement offense that you have there in Golden State, you have all the attention on Curry, you have all the attention on Porter. Who else can step up? Well, Gary Payton is not a shooter. We know that. He's a guy that's really good at the defense. Brandon Pajemski, he's very inconsistent, but Seth Curry is a guy that, hey, he knocked down like five, I think he knocked down 40% of his shots last year. I know it was with Charlotte, but still, with that offense, he's going to get a lot of looks. He's going to get a lot of open looks. I think that's really, really going to benefit him. I think he's going to be one of the more underrated acquisitions of this offseason. So keep an eye out for Seth Curry and Golden State. I think he's going to be balling for the Warriors, just like his brother there. So I'm going to go with the Warriors with number 6, and then 7 and 8. To wrap things up, obviously Minnesota, I think, is going to be number 7 with Minnesota. They got too much talent with the Ant-Man, with Rudy Gobert there. They're going to be 7. And then number 8, oh, shoot. Number 8 is, I'm going to go with Dallas. I think that they take time to, with this Western Conference being how loaded it is, I think it's going to take some time with Kyrie hurt. D'Angelo Russell is madly inconsistent. Cooper Flag, we don't know how he's going to be once the games actually start. I think they're going to be 8. So I'm going to go with Dallas at 8. They got a lot of talent. I don't trust Anthony Davis to stay healthy. He's an injury waiting to happen. So yeah, I'm going to go with them at 8. All right, let's get into the play-in teams now. So those are my playoff teams. My play-in teams, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go, you asked it, James, where's the Spurs? Where they're number 9. I think they're going to barely miss the playoffs. I think, look, Wemby's there, Harper's there, but he's a rookie, so it's going to take some time for him to transition to the pro game. I still think they need another, star outside of Wemby. They're close, but I think they're just going to barely miss the playoffs, especially with how tough the Western Conference is going to be. Number 10 on my list is, I'm going to go with the Grizzlies. John Morant, also, he's a guy that always gets hurt. And then when he's not getting hurt, and when he's not balling, he's always getting in trouble for controversial things off the court. I don't really trust him to be able to stop doing that type of stuff. So I think the Grizzlies are going to be good. I think they lost a lot in terms of Desmond Bane, that trade. They also, they have Zach Edey there, but he looked really soft last year. So I got them at 10. I don't trust Ja to be able to stay healthy or not get in trouble off the court. And then 11 and 12 in the West. 11 and 12. Sacramento at number 11, just because I think Sacramento, they have they got Westbrook, right? They got DeMar DeRozan, they got Zach LaVine, but this is a team that has a lot of offense and no defense. And I really don't understand why they hired Doug Christie as their head coach. Doug Christie is a great player for the Kings organization. He was a really good broadcaster, but the guy's a defensive-minded coach, supposedly, and you bring in all these guys that are not known for defense. I just think it's a mess in Sacramento. I don't like their starting lineup at all. I think that they're a team that thinks that defense doesn't matter in the NBA. I know they have Sabonis, they got Westbrook, they've got all those guys. Keegan Murray's going to be out for I think the first 3 months of the season. So that's a big loss for them. So I'm going to go with them at 11. They just kind of remind me of the Bulls with LaVine and DeRozan, where too much offense, not a lot of talent, or too much offense, no defense whatsoever. And then number 12 on this list, I'm gonna, this is tough because I'm going to go with Portland. I like what the Blazers are doing there in Portland. They Scoot Henderson, you got Drew Holiday, which I think is a great acquisition for them. He's really going to help them with that veteran mentorship and also the defense as well. He's going to help them a lot. That young talent, I think, will take another step up. Chauncey Billups is a really good coach. Give him some time. It's all going to come together, but I got Portland as my 12th seed and making the play-in. So those are my teams. In the West, we got Clippers, Thunder, Lakers, Rockets, Nuggets, Warriors, Timberwolves, and the Kings. And then the play-in teams go like Spurs, Grizzlies, Kings, and the Blazers to wrap things up. All right. NBA Finals prediction time. Before we get into some awards and then call it a night. By the way, speaking of like acquisitions that will pay off, Colin Sexton is now a Charlotte Hornet. I didn't know that, by the way, until I just researched it like a few minutes ago. But I think that's going to be a really good move for the Hornets. You got an extra scorer who can be that sixth man off the bench. And if LaMelo gets hurt or if Brandon Miller gets hurt, you got someone to plug in there who can replace that level of production. So I really like what the Hornets did there with the addition of Colin Sexton. All right, NBA Finals prediction time, guys. I promise you I'm not going to be a homer. I promise you that. I'm not going to pick Lakers over Celtics or whatever it is. I'm going to be fair and honest. I promise you guys that. So, my NBA Finals prediction, folks, is this is tough. My NBA Finals prediction, ladies and gentlemen, is I'm going to roll. I think they make a big trade to shore up their center issues, but my NBA Finals is I'm going to roll with Warriors Magic. That's my NBA Finals prediction. I think Steph and Golden State wins the Western Conference. I like the addition of Jimmy Butler. He provides toughness. He gets you another star with Steph Curry. You got Steph Curry there. Seth I think is going to have a big impact on the Warriors with you got Al Horford there now. I really like this Warriors team. They feel like for the first time in a very long time, a very complete basketball team there. You got the star power, you got the contributors, you got the defense, you got the shooting. They've got everything, I feel like. And I think also that you look at some of these teams in the West, right? The Lakers, I think, will be in the mix there. I do believe that a team like the Rockets, I feel like need another star, sadly, with Kevin Durant. The Nuggets, they're a good team. The Thunder, I feel like the Thunder, the lack of, I feel like that it's going to be Warriors, Thunder, Western Conference Finals. It's going to be fun, but I think the Warriors outshoot the Thunder, and then I think the Magic take out the Knicks in the because I don't think I don't think that you're going to see a lot of defense with this Knicks team, which is going to be a big concern. So I'm going to go Warriors Magic NBA Finals. Feel free to give me the WTF, by the way. But yeah, Warriors Magic Western Conference or East NBA Finals. And for my NBA champion, folks, I am going to go with the Orlando Magic to win the NBA championship over the Warriors because Paolo Banchero, Franz Wagner, I think they take a big step up. I think they make a trade, honestly, for Nikola Vucevic to shore up the middle and really match Golden State when it comes to the size. And I know the Warriors got the shooting, but the Magic got the toughness. They got the physicality, and I think that's going to wear down the Warriors. So I'm going to go Orlando Magic 2025-2026 NBA champions. I'm going to go with them to win the NBA Finals. And then as this is a great way to shift the gears and go to the awards area of the show and talk about NBA MVP, talk about things like Sixth Man of the Year, talk about things like, who's going to be the Coach of the Year. For me, my NBA MVP, I'm going to go with Paolo Banchero. I really believe he's going to have a big season for the Magic, especially with Desmond Bane there now. I think he's going to take that, especially in year 3, he's going to take that next step up and become that superstar that everybody envisioned there. So I'm going to go with him as my NBA MVP. And then my Coach of the Year, I'm going to go, I agree with you, James. Coach of the year, I'm going to go with Jamal Mosley just because I think that, look, I got the Magic as my number 1 seed. I think that they're going to be really good this season. So if they get the number 1 seed, he's going to be coach of the year for sure. So I got him as my coach of the year. And then my 6th man of the year, actually, let's go defensive player of the year right now. Let's go defensive player of the year before we go 6th man of the year. Defensive player of the year. This is tough. Defensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year. I want to go Chet Holmgren from the Thunder. But I also could see, because I think Chet's going to have a lot of blocks this season. I mean, he's grown in size as well. Could see Wemby being in the mix for that as well. I could see Gobert. I'm gonna go with Wemby. Actually, I'm gonna go with Wemby as my defensive player of the year. Last but not least, we're gonna go into 6th man of the year. 6th man of the year, in my opinion, is gonna be Jordan Clarkson from the New York Knicks. So I'm gonna go with that. All right, let's get into some comments before we get into coaches that should be wary because they're on the hot seat that need to have a good year to save their jobs that we're looking out for before we end the program for tonight. All right, some comments from my guy James Gonzalez. He says that Houston is going for more scoring with their moves. Yeah, they got KD. They traded away their defensive anchor and Dylan Brooks. They traded away Jalen Green. I felt like was very inconsistent. I mean, he could have been a star if, I felt like they were more patient, but they're not a team that's patient. They're a team ready to win now. So I'm going to think that Houston going for more scoring with their moves. Yeah, I think that for Houston, they did go for more scoring with their moves. James saying, what the hell? It's going to be OKC, as I guess saying Clippers number 1. I think, James, that the Clippers or the OKC Thunder are going to be like the Celtics last year, where everybody knows they're the best team in that conference, but they're just going to be like, you know what, we don't care about the regular season and just kind of cruise in the regular season. So I don't believe that they're going to be number 1. James says Clippers are going to be 5th at best. Not with, I mean, you got Harden, you got Kawhi, you got Zubac, you got the bench, reinforced now with Beal at the mix there. I think the Clippers will surprise you, James. I think they're going to go hard. I think they're going to be one of the better teams in the West. And I really believe that if you're a Clippers fan, you should be excited because you got the bench in Beal, you got Brook Lopez, you got Collins, Collins I think will be in the starting lineup, but you got all those guys there that I think, they're pushing all their chips in. And Kawhi is healthy now. Harden had a great year last year. Zubac is always outstanding in the paint, so I think he's going to be great. James says, could the Grizzlies trade Ja this season? I don't know what his contract is, James. I'm assuming he has a really big contract. And also, like, the off-the-court stuff, he's also getting injured a lot now. I think there's going to be a big market for Ja. I think that if you had to ask me, Trae Young, Ja Morant, who gets traded first? I'd probably say Trae Young, honestly, because Trae Young doesn't have the baggage that Ja Morant brings. So that's tough. I think they will. I think they will look to trade him because I think that Memphis will look to refresh and reset. But I think for the Grizzlies that it will be tough, especially with his baggage. James says he agrees with me, coach of the year, Jamal Mosley. Absolutely. If Jamal Mosley wins the number 1 seed in the East, which I'm predicting he does, he will definitely be coach of the year. And then Wemby for defensive player of the year. And then also, James, when it comes to the Inside the NBA on NBC, the new television schedule for basketball on national TV, James says, hate that Inside will be on less. Gonna plan to watch, I guess. Also, in regards to Round Ball Rock, maybe the best theme ever. Yes, sir, I agree with that, James. I love NBA on NBC's Round Ball Rock. But yeah, let's get into some hot seat stuff before we call it a night, guys. It's been a really good show. The NBA gets going tomorrow. We've got the Warriors and the Lakers at night. And then we started with the Rockets and the Thunder. Kevin Durant goes back to OKC when they are raising the banner. How about some spite there, ladies and gentlemen? But let's get into some hot seat watch here before we get into it. For the hot seat watch, I think it's very clear. Obviously, let's start with the East. I think Quinn Snyder's on the hot seat there in Atlanta. I feel like they're trying to, they're on the verge of blowing it up there in the ATL. I know they just got Porzingis, but if you trade Trae Young, I mean, you're trading your superstar talent right there. So I think they're kind of on the verge. I think this is like their all-in year, that if it doesn't work out, that they're going to blow it up there in Atlanta. I'm going to say Milwaukee Bucks, Doc Rivers, he's on the hot seat there. If you don't at least get to the Eastern Conference Finals, I think he's going to be out there in Milwaukee. This is a pivotal year for them. If Milwaukee doesn't at least get very far in the playoffs, I think Giannis is going to ask out. And I really believe that that Giannis or that Bucks team is going to try to one last ditch to appease Giannis, fire Doc Rivers, and get a coach that he wants. Billy Donovan, James, he just signed an extension. He got extended because the Knicks were pursuing him, so the Bulls panicked, gave him an extension. So I don't think he's going to be gone. I think his job is safe there for a while because I really believe that that Bulls team management likes him a lot. You know, he's kind of like a puppet there, sadly. So I think he's safe for a while there. And then also in the Eastern Conference, who's the Raptors coach, by the way? Because I think he could be gone too, because they have a new change of general manager with Bobby Webster taking over. Masai Ujiri is no longer there in Toronto. So I could see him being gone. There, if they have a bad season. And then, you know, some other teams, I want to say probably the Hornets. I feel like if they, he's not really on the hot seat, but I feel like if Charles Lee and the Hornets finish bottom barrel again in the East, that he may be out there, because I feel like the Hornets are a team that could take that next step. And then Nick Nurse with the Sixers, because if the Sixers flunk the way they did last year, there's no way that Nick Nurse will keep his job there in Philadelphia. And then Mike Brown, one and done by James. I doubt it, bro. But hey, crazier things have happened. So we'll see what happens with that. In the Western Conference, if speaking of one and done coaches, Doug Christie, I think, could be one and done in Sacramento, because I really believe that Doug Christie is not a good fit. He shouldn't have been hired to be the head coach. Vivek Ranadive, let's face it, wanted that hire. It was not a Scott Perry hire. It was a Vivek Ranadive hire. And you look at that roster right now, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not even going to get close to the playoffs. So, it's such a meaningless, I felt like the reason why the Kings hired Christie was because, number one, he's Sacramento legend, but also I don't think they had a backup plan when they fired Mike Brown. I really don't. I don't think they had a backup plan. There were not really good coaches available. Now you got, some coaches available. So I could see Doug Christie being one and done in Sacramento. Obviously, JJ Redick, if the Lakers have a really bad season, because the pressure is going to be there in LA. I know that he just signed an extension, but still, like I said, you can rip up that extension any day of the week, get rid of him. You really could. Steve Kerr is not on the hot seat, but watch out. He does have, he's a free agent after the season. It's a lame duck year for him. So could Golden State, I can never imagine them going into a different direction, but maybe it will be both sides decide to part ways, new voice. It's been 10 plus years there. So maybe that could happen. And then in terms of some other coaches, I think that's about it, honestly. Maybe the Pelicans coach, Willie Green, if they miss the playoffs or miss the play-in, I think he's done there. They have Joe Dumars running the show. He's going to obviously want his own guy. So I could see that. But yeah, those are my coaches to watch out for on the hot seat. But guys, it's been a good show. welcome back to the NBA. Basketball is officially back, man. I mean, your boy was, shooting jumpers last night, getting ready for the season, but here we are, man. 5 minutes from officially game day in the NBA with basketball coming back. Hope everybody enjoys it. It's going to be a great, great season. Cannot wait for that. But guys, I think that's all the comments we have. That's our show for tonight. Hopefully you guys like the predictions. I know we had a lot of crazy predictions. Warriors Magic is my NBA Finals prediction. But guys, it's been a great show. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. And until next time, see you guys all next time. And welcome back. The NBA basketball is back, baby. We are officially back.